Сегодня у нас будет
investing in Kazakhstan in the current global economy. I'm not going to do much speaking today because we've got two excellent guests who I've just spent the past hour or so talking to about both Kazakhstan and what's happening in the global investment landscape. So on my left is Meshal AlFaras. He is the head of Janus Henderson, one of the world's largest fund managers for the Middle East, Africa and Central Asia. And Yerali, who comes from quite a different perspective as chairman of Pioneer Capital in Kazakhstan. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask each of the speakers to give us a bit of perspective on the organisation they work for, what they do, and what's happening from their perspective in the global investment landscape, and a bit about how that impacts how they think about investing in Kazakhstan. Misha, over to you.
Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you, Tim. It's a pleasure to be here. It's my first time in a very long time. My name is Meshal AlFaras. I head the region, which is Middle East, Africa, Central Asia, for Janus Henderson. So we started our business back in 2012 by opening an office in the AIFC in Dubai, and we cover the entire region. As a firm, we manage about $460 billion as we speak, with 25 offices around the globe.
Thank you very much, Tim, for the opportunity. So our firm is an investment firm. So we are an allocator in global capital markets, and we are a Kazakh-based company.
To kick off, perhaps I said you can start. It'd be good to talk briefly about what's happening in the global investment markets, and how you think that impacts Kazakhstan, and therefore, what sort of opportunities should global investors be thinking about when they invest in Kazakhstan in the current environment?
So typically, companies look for growth stories. And when we opened the office in Dubai, we had the potential or see the opportunity for the growth in the GCC and Africa and Central Asia. So that growth, since then, I mentioned earlier, I haven't been here for about a decade now. And when I came here, I saw the massive change recently. Having the Astana International Financial Center with all the, with an independent court system, international judges, that provide comfort and for international investors to come here. On top and above, Kazakhstan has the potential, has the money, it's a wealthy country, and once they start investing in the infrastructure, that will bring lots of opportunities. For us, if we look at the NBK, NIC, the Unified Pension Fund, they can attract more of the investors to come over by partnering with them. So it's all about what is the enhancement that is, or the incentives that is offered for international investors to come here. And I see Kazakhstan being the middle corridor to connect from China to Europe.
I know that Pioneer is very much focused around investing Kazakh money offshore, but if you put yourself in the position of an offshore investor looking at Kazakhstan, what are the opportunities here that you see over the next sort of 3 or 5 years?
Well, typically we have been investing always in the European or US markets over the last 10 years that we have been operating. So partially, of course, the Asia. In terms of Kazakhstan, of course, we have been holding all the time some portion of the bond markets that we have. It's quite developing in some recent years. The yields on the treasury yields of our Kazakh bonds have been always interesting. And we can also really closely focused on looking at the IPOs that we have with the Kazakh companies, including Kazatomprom and some of the other companies that might attract some interest from the international markets. But in general, of course, we as a Kazakhstani global markets, we lack some liquidity. The only liquidity that we have at the moment is with the equities at Kazatomprom, so we have been actively trading it.
Meshal, if you think about the other countries within the region that you're responsible for, how do you see them developing over time, and what could AIFC or Kazakhstan learn? Because I get the sense from your comments earlier that you see lots of potential in the region, but perhaps less so in Kazakhstan at the moment. So any thoughts on what Kazakhstan needs to do to attract more capital or more investment?
Sure. I mean, if I go back to my earlier comment about establishing the first office in Dubai, I mean, since opening the office back in 2012, the government of the UAE did not stop investing in the infrastructure, tourism, infrastructure, you name it, anything. They work dynamically to enhance whatever project they work on. The AIFC, where we were set up, not too long ago, we were only 19,000 people or 20,000 employees working there. Today, in 5 years or 6 years, they're more than doubled, with 45,000 people, and there is no space even for expansion. But to your point, it takes time to build the infrastructure, to open up the country. And now, so after, I would say 7 or 8 years, last year we managed to acquire another business within the GCC, within the country. So we acquired the National Bank of Kuwait Capital Partners, which is private credit shop that is, being in Kuwait. If I go back and tell the management a few years ago, let's buy or acquire a company that is in the Middle East, they will say, what are you talking about? But this day, I mean, when I presented the opportunity about the NBK Capital Partners acquisition to invest in the country and to invest within the GCC and the market, they were all happy and supporting it. Why? Because they've been coming, they've been visiting, then they saw the growth that we're having within the Middle East. Why not Kazakhstan? Again, to go back to what I mentioned, I probably had a gap initially when I started coming as being responsible for the region. There were some opportunities, but they were not that great opportunities. But now with having the AIFC, the IPOs that are happening, the openness of the market, I mean, we heard His Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister earlier, and the Governor of the AIFC, talking about how many international firms coming to the AIFC and operating in Kazakhstan. All of that will open opportunities for firms like Janus, Henderson, and others to come and operate in the country.
I mean, actually, I can also complement to what, if I'm going to speak beyond my company. So the IFC has been a crucial point, honestly, because in general, if we want to grow the capital markets in our country, we generally lack asset managers. The professional asset managers, both local and international, who can just provide some liquidity and work in the market. And beyond historical, if you look back, we have only a couple of brokerage firms, like 4 or 5 years back, who have been handling the whole marketplace of the country. Thanks to IFC, there are a lot of professional asset managers being established. Of course, we're going to see how they're going to grow, like professionally, and how they can accumulate or increase their asset base. But in general, it's a positive sign for the whole capital markets in our country.
You mentioned sort of the obvious comment before about liquidity of investments available in Kazakhstan. Have you got any comments around venture capital, private equity investing here? Has that market developed over the last 5 or 10 years, or do you see opportunities in the private capital markets as opposed to public?
Well, I mean, the private capital markets, again, we have the same issue as if we go to the public markets. In the private capital, we also lack professional managers. We don't have, I mean, we have only a few family offices who are running like a private equity firms in the country. So, and we don't have the exit market. That's the main issue. So making IPO is a little bit hard. And the exits are usually like not according to the standards that we have in the private equity. Firms used to have the exits, so that's the main issue at the moment. That most of the private capital is run by the family offices. Of course, some of our government investment funds who also have some role in that industry as well.
Sure, you mentioned having discussions with some of the funds in Kazakhstan and what the opportunity might be for Janus Henderson. We obviously talk to their peers across the region. Have you got any comments on how other countries in the region or other funds in the region are thinking about investing versus the funds that you deal with or have talked to in Kazakhstan?
Yes, no, that's the different or incentives where I see Kazakhstan is going to take place hopefully in the future. Well, when we opened the office again, I mean, the incentive was to work with around, cover the region out of Dubai, but work with all the countries. So now we work with all the countries around the GCC and some countries in Africa. All the sovereign wealth funds, all the pension funds, many of the banks also, we're working with them. They're taking our products to their private clients. But if you look at the business here in Kazakhstan, there are some limitation for that. So once that's developed, I think we'll see more asset managers coming here. So I think the area where I see more potential of, besides having the sovereign wealth funds investing, opening up the retail market. As I talked about, the asset managers or the brokers. Brokers open that business and own it to give them access to international investments. But why not operate under local asset management where they can distribute products and partner with international firms to give them take the baby steps in order to grow. You cannot just come and open an office in order to expand the business. So what I see, other sovereign wealth funds or other similar financial institutions or financial international financial centers in the GCC, for example, they try to attract international investors by seeding their funds, by providing capital, by providing them with the stability to come and open incentives. Open an office. If you have a good business story, if you have a good project that you want to expand within the country, we will incentivize you. But at the same time, they put the conditions that, okay, if we give you that seed money or seed capital or investment, you need to expand. You need to hire locals. You need to expand and invest in the country, and that's what I see. So I think the same can apply to Kazakhstan.
I'm going to push you a bit, and I know some of these funds are your potential customers or current customers. Do you think that Kazakh institutions, do they have a different time horizon? Do they think about asset allocation differently? Do they think about manager selection differently than other countries in the region?
So, sovereign wealth funds, even, I work with the Kuwait Investment Authority, which is sovereign wealth funds. The selection, we do it bottom up. We, as analysts, when I was at the Kuwait Investment Authority, when I started my career for 10 years, I do the selection, then I find the best managers to manage equities, fixed income, or even deposits when I was in the Treasury. And do the recommendation and take it forward after we do the due diligence and everything. Here, sometimes it might take some time, longer than the normal or average. But I think, from my meetings over the past couple of days with stakeholders, sovereign wealth funds, I see a shift, I see a change. Beside having the AIC and the expansion, I see them allocating more to international investments, and that's what will attract international firms like us to come and grow. Because again, let's be honest. What drives international firms? It's all return on equities. How are we incentivized to come here? We cannot just tell our shareholders, we want to open an office. As Janus Henderson, we have 25 offices globally, but we open them strategically, and we see the opportunity here in Kazakhstan and the surrounding region. So there is potential, but it's still, the baby steps. So I would say that I'm here in a fact-finding mission.
Yep.
But hopefully that will soon materialize to be a permanent. What I mentioned also earlier, when I started as a one-man show in Dubai, now we have 2 offices with over 20 people on the ground.
That's it. Meshal talked a bit about the role of brokers, and I want to ask you a question more broadly about the ecosystem in Kazakhstan. Have we developed enough distribution capability through brokers? You touched on asset managers, we're seeing some growth in asset managers and AIFC. What more do we need to do in terms of growing this ecosystem of professionals in order to develop the market here?
Well, we can come to this question from 2 degrees. It's one of the institutional side and the private side.
Yep.
If we go with the private side, of course, right now the market, if we take out the freedom from the whole scope, so we have the brokerage firm who are actually owned by the banks, big banks, who, those banks actually don't give too much importance to the wealth management or asset management side. These brokerage firms work merely as a transaction services companies. So, if we look at the private sector, with the private clients, I don't see that there is a big kind of an industry for the wealth management. So our colleague, he was giving the example of Dubai. So we're still lacking the way that we have to go for the wealth management services from the bank's perspective. If we go to the institutional side, of course, every institution selects according to the principles they would like to work. So, some of the institutions, they prefer to work with some of the private banks, international banks, and they can also go with our local brokerage firms. But still, I believe that the quality of the services that our companies are providing at the moment is lagging behind that we would expect.
There's been a bit of, more than a bit of talk since I've been involved in Kazakhstan of giving individual investors more control over their investments in the pension fund. Some of that's happened. Do you think that has started to build the asset management business in Kazakhstan, or we still got more work to do?
Just could you repeat the question, sorry?
There's been lots of effort or lots of discussion over the past, 5 or 6 years that I've been involved in Kazakhstan about allowing individual investors to have more control over their money that is in the United Pension Fund. Obviously we've made some steps there, but do you think there's more opportunity there for development of the asset management industry through liberalisation of the pension fund?
Yeah, absolutely. It will give it will give an enormous growth for the capital markets in the country if that's going to be. The only is the structure, how it's going to be done or realized. If they are going to give the allocations that they are going to give to any private individuals to professional asset managers, basically the liquidity market will grow up in the country, and we'll see it. I think we'll see it somehow reflected in the our stock market as well. But right now we don't see the framework how it's going to be implemented, but we'll see. But in general, if they are going to be allocated to some professional locally run asset managers, we'll see definitely a growth in the capital markets.
If I just put you on the spot here, you obviously manage a reasonably significant amount of money and from our discussions earlier, most of that is invested outside Kazakhstan. Are there any asset managers within Kazakhstan that you would consider at the moment, or are we still too early in the development of the market for your fund to be investing more in Kazakhstan?
Is it me?
No,
for me?
Sorry, yeah.
So I would say this. First of all, for some of our asset managers, local asset managers, they need to have a second-to-second access to all the global markets. So I don't think that there are any companies at the moment who can provide, or any asset managers who can provide such a service at the moment, like the same thing as the Bloomberg or whatever. If there are, I would be happy to know about them. So we need some time to develop that, I would say. If with the freedom and some of the brokerage firm, we have the private client side, but the institutional client base, the companies who can service the institutional client base, is still we have to go a little bit, we need some time.
Okay. Meshal, you've obviously been operating in DIFC for, many years. We discussed, earlier before the session about what AIFC has done, and I know you've only been here a few days, but what are the 2 or 3 things that you think that the DIFC has got right in order to develop what is, a world-class financial centre in Dubai?
That's a very good question. So I think whatever the IFC is doing, that I think the AIFC is implementing them. But the AIFC and the DIFC are very well recognized globally. And it's a good infrastructure for any asset managers or any investment house to come and operate out of. What AIFC needs to do, correct, or what the DIFC is doing correctly, is they're promoting Dubai as a whole. Besides promoting the DIFC and DFSA, as a regulator, but they're also promoting the Dubai as a whole. The infrastructure there, that's what they're promoting. And you see consistently the CEO of the DIFC, the governor of the DIFC, plus many others, they go constantly on the road and to Europe, US, Latin America, Asia, trying to promote continuously the DIFC and what it offers. And that's how they're, on top and above, they're providing incentives for those entities that are coming. So easy on the visas, easy on the infrastructure. What AIFC's done is extremely well, but needs to enhance it. What AIFC's done is extremely well, but needs to enhance it with the promotions, with more marketing, more, for it to be more recognized with the international firms.
Yeah, this is an important point that every time I come here I make, is that if you do travel internationally and you go to different financial centres or different countries, I'm from New Zealand, who's trying to attract capital, there's competition for capital. And when investors think about investing globally, it's not only the risk-return trade-off that they make, but it's also about what's front of mind for them to invest. And I think that's a really good point that AIFC can learn from, is, DIFC is out there all the time promoting the opportunities, both in the UAE but in the broader region.
And just to add, Tim, they made it easy for anyone that comes to the UAE. I mean, I'm sure many of you have been to the United Arab Emirates. I'm not Emirati, I'm promoting the UAE, by the way. So I left Kuwait to be there because I see the developments that are happening in the UAE. And I'm very impressed, honestly, and admire what they've done. So you leave, you go in, you enter the UAE, visa on arrival, everything is easy, and even now, face recognition, so you don't even need to go through a custom or be asked where are you coming from and how many days you're here. No, you're just welcome, and they know what you're coming or what you're doing, for that country. And to that extent, I see more also GCC country. To your point, you see more competition. Yes, the Saudi Arabia is trying to compete and to position the Saudi Arabia as a financial center. You see many financial institutions that are based in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi moving or opening other offices in Saudi Arabia. Kuwait is doing exactly the same thing now. We heard yesterday or the day before that BlackRock opened an office there, and I was speaking with Goldman Sachs and they're opening an office there. So there is competition, but you have to have the right ecosystem for managers to come.
That's it. You've obviously observed AIFC over the past 8 years. What have we done well, and what could we do better?
No, I think you're already doing great. So
no, you should tell us what we need to do better.
No, I believe maybe there was a challenging first 4 or 5 years until you have structured the whole, the framework and, the market, I would say, which market. Is it only Kazakhstan? Is it outside of Kazakhstan? Is it the region? So over the last 3 years, we can see that AFC really become as a hub for many countries from our neighboring countries to set up their companies. AFC is AFC, I believe, is a very important structure for the financial services. Over the last few years, I don't know, but many companies, when we are talking about the professional asset managers, all of them are right now based in the AFC, regulated by the AFC. The AIFC structure that we have here is also in the AIFC. So this is absolutely a positive signal for the capital markets in our country. There would be no way, let's say, for those companies to set up that kind of a legal structure or framework within the, our, Kazakhstani legislation.
So one final question for both of you, which is kind of my question, because every time I go back to New Zealand, people say to me, oh, should I invest in Kazakhstan? And if I had some money, where would I invest it in Kazakhstan? So I'll go to you, Misha, first. If you had some money to invest and you're advising someone to invest in Kazakhstan, what do you see the opportunities are?
How long do I have?
No, I'm thinking of you mean investment horizon?
No, time to
time. Oh, I know you've got...
So Kazakhstan has a lot to offer, right? Not too long ago, they opened up even the visa system for people to come and just walk in, visa on arrival, which is a very big step. So people from the GCC, if I'm allowed to talk about them, lots of them are coming here on a tourism. For tourism, for the hotels, for the lakes, and lots of the nice areas that Kazakhstan has to offer. So I think I would invest it in tourism. I would invest it in infrastructure. I would invest it in transportation. Before coming here, I I called a few people that I know that they visited Kazakhstan, be it Almaty or Astana. They said, we love it, but we need more transportation. We need more guidance on where to go and what to do. We need better cars to take us to the right place, especially in the winter. And winter, plenty of nice ski resorts that can be done here. And I'm sure he would love to come and spend time here and do some skiing.
I can agree with that. That's it. You've got a minute to give your investment advice.
It's
not
always,
advice.
It's always kind of answer. Is it a short term or long term?
That's why I say that.
But I absolutely agree. The areas that our colleague he said. It's absolutely the ones that would be expecting that we'll have some interesting opportunities in the future. But in terms of the capital markets, of course, the bond markets, I think, will thrive in our country because more and more with the AFC and with the regulation that we have, more and more companies will be trying to go to the bond markets, both the US denominated or local currency denominated. More companies will try to go away from the banks and go to this stock market.
Great, that's an excellent answer. My answer to that question is, yeah, if you look at the interest rates being paid on local currency bonds at the moment, even with the currency relatively less stable than other currencies in the world, it's a pretty good opportunity. And longer term, fantastic investment opportunities in Kazakhstan. Thank you both. Can we give a round of applause to our speakers? I hope you all found that very, very interesting. And I'd also like to thank our sponsors, Feed & Boca, Kaz Minerals and ITS. As everyone has said today, without them, AFD would not be what AFD is today without their support. So thanks very much and enjoy your afternoon.
Can we have a...
Standing or?